what's going on? Welcome to another Cannabis Critique. Today, we are talking about another sample I received from the Botanist. I got this one at the Academic Cannabis Conference, so if you went to that, shout out to you, you're awesome. But if you didn't, you missed out. You missed out on samples. I got myself a sample of Northern Lights Haze from the Botanist. And before we talk about it, let's give a shout out to our Patreon supporters. Huge shout out to the two-way Van Man, Baker Man, Scott the Bartender, and Tim, our dank dudes. And a shout out to Markeisha, our high achiever, over on the Patreon page. Now let's get into the breakdown of the Northern Lights Haze from the Botanist. This one's an interesting cross. It's a cross of Northern Lights Haze with Northern Lights Haze number 2. So that leaves you thinking, well, what is the original cross? Well, the original cross is Northern Lights with Haze. So Northern Lights, a heavier indica, and Haze, a real racy sativa. So how did those two things meet? Let's talk about it. The look on this stuff left a lot to be desired, to be honest. This stuff was pretty good looking, but maybe a little bit light bleached in this case. My giant nug that I received from them was a little bit off in color. This stuff is supposed to be like a nice deep green, and mine was a little bit of a light yellow color. So like I said, I think they ran into a little bit of an issue with this particular batch with the lighting. But other than that, this stuff had a good structure to it. It was nice to break down, and I appreciate the fact that I got one giant nug in my little sample. So that's appreciated. 7.7 out of 10 in the looks department. Smell here was pretty awesome. This one was kind of like a traditional weed type of aroma. Very like muted type of pine initially, and then when I broke it down, it got really fruity on breakdown. I was initially going to say this one had kind of a weaker nose, but it really pops once you break it down. So 8.6 out of 10 in the smell department. Breakup here was really good. Like I said earlier, this stuff has a great structure to it, so you're able to just break off what you think is a little bit off of a nug, and it breaks down into a ton of smokable material. That's always appreciated. 9.2 out of 10 in the breakdown. Taste here was very, traditional. I wanted to say this one is like savory. And it's very smooth. You're able to take huge lung-busting tokes of this stuff, and it doesn't really bother you. So that's always awesome in the taste department. But there's nothing that really like stands out about this weed. You're not gonna hit it and be like, oh, this tastes like X, Y, or Z. It's just kind of a very mouth-filling experience, for lack of a better term. And it has like a definite weed aftertaste. This one is definitely weedy, if you know what I mean there. It tastes like traditional weed, in my opinion. So 9 out of 10 in the taste category. The high here was on the sativa side of things. This one is excellent for daytime use. It's definitely a clear-headed high without any anxiety. I got a nice bit of energy from this stuff, and like I said, no back-end anxiety that I get a lot from the uppity sativa type of strain. So that's appreciated. A little bit of a mood boost from this one. I think it ranks high in the not giving a fuck category. You'll find yourself just chilled out, able to run through any problem that you may incur while you're doing a task on this stuff. So that's always appreciated in the sativa realm, in my opinion. So 8.5 out of 10 in the high category. Overall, I'd describe this Northern Lights Haze as a familiar friend that's ideal for daytime use. This stuff is going to remind you of why you got into weed in the first place. It's a nice experience. It tastes like traditional weed, so if you're longing for that, you've had too many baked goods, candy type of strains, this one will get you back to your roots of like 90s type of weed, in my opinion. So 8.6 out of 10 for the Northern Lights Haze, and shout out to Janelle from the Botanist for supplying me with this sample. That's always appreciated. And don't forget, if you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more here on Cannabis Critique.